Hi everyone. So, of course, most of our interest is going to be on the undisputed fight today, but there's actually another really good title fight going on a completely different card, and that is Emmanuel Navarrete is fighting for the lightweight championship, WBO lightweight championship at um tonight, and he's fighting Berinchyk, who is a very skilled Ukrainian fighter. He's part of that 2012 Ukrainian Olympic team, along with Alexander Usyk, Lomachenko, Alexander Gyozdek, and also Sergei Devryanchenko. So, a very skilled Ukrainian team and a very skilled challenger against Navarrete, who is moving up to his fourth division after becoming super featherweight champion. Prior to that, of course, featherweight and super bantamweight, and now he moves up to lightweight, which is going to be very interesting because we did see some limitations from him when he went up to super featherweight. Of course, in his first fight at super featherweight, he got dropped by Liam Wilson and probably got pretty lucky to get out of that round. Um, and then he had two defenses for that title. He had a very good performance against Oscar Valdez, despite getting injured in that fight. And then he had a draw against Robson Conceição last time up. So it's an interesting fight to move up from, but it's understandable. Of course, Robson Conceição is set to challenge for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship against Oshaki Foster coming up. Um, that fight was interesting. It was a good fight. Navarrete dropped Conceição twice, but it seemed like in a lot of the other rounds, Conceição was having his way. Uh, so definitely a strange time to move up in terms of momentum. But I've watched both of these guys' past few fights. I'd say the most memorable out of Dennis Berinchy's past few fights is Ivan Mendy, who is a rather solid European level lightweight fighter. I mean, of course, he's most well known for having that win over Luke Campbell. Um, Absolutely years back. I think that was around a decade ago that he beat Luke Campbell. Um, but nonetheless, Ivan Mendy, very good operator. Dennis Berinchyk handled him well enough. But I think that's the general story with Dennis Berinchyk. He does everything well, but he doesn't do anything particularly superb. He, like for example, doesn't have great power. He can crack a bit, and his record kind of shows that. And you can kind of see in the performances that he's had, they are against solid European guys, but he's not blasting them out. I mean, look at the Anthony Yigit fight. That was after Yigit came off his lost to Keyshawn Davis, and it was a very kind of laboured performance against a Yigit who we know isn't at his best anymore. And that's been kind of the story of his career. It's kind of been inactivity, things like that. So if we're talking in terms of game plan, what these guys are going to bring to the table, we know what we're going to get from Navarrete. Navarrete is going to come in, he's going to throw angles, he's going to throw a lot of punches, and he's going to try and overwhelm Berinchyk. And it's kind of up to Berinchyk to, well, put that off in the sense. It's going to be easier than in prior cases because Navarrete isn't going to be as big at this weight than he has been at previous weights. We start to see that at super featherweight. So I'd imagine Berinchyk might be the physically stronger man, but it's going to be hard to tell until the time comes. Didn't really get much of an insight from the weigh-ins. It was much as expected, but I'm expecting I'm expecting the fight to be competitive. It's not like Berinchyk's not a bum. He's very capable, and he's shown that he's rather capable. It's just he's not shown he's capable at this level, and that's probably the story of this fight. So, as for a prediction, it's hard to go against Navarrete. and I'm not going to go against Navarrete. I'm going to go for him on points. But there's a lot of other factors that need to be considered. Obviously, there's the factor that Berinchyks friend and former Olympic stablemate Alexander Usyk's fighter. If he wins, then like if Usyk wins, then it's going to set the bar high for Berinchyk, and we might see a better performance out of him. So that's a factor. Another factor is injuries. We have seen Navarrete pretty prone to injuries. Um, if he gets injured this fight, it could make him um, really hinder his ability in the fight because I would imagine that Berinchyk is going to try and box and move because he's not going to outslug Navarrete, I'd imagine, because he doesn't have that kind of power. There are people at the weight that I think are going to eventually outslug Navarrete, but this is very smart matchmaking by his management team and Top Rank. Um, what else? Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the fight, and it's really adding to a really interesting division, this fight, because we've got all the belts spread out. We've got Shakur Stevenson's fight coming up. Navarrete and Stevenson is a fight that's been talked about for a while. Personally, I'd like to see Stevenson and Lomachenko, but Navarrete fits in here somewhere. And provided that both of these guys win, we're going to have 3 of the 4 belts in Top Rank. The only belt that isn't going to be in Top Rank is Gervonta Davis. So those are my thoughts on that fight. I've got Navarrete by unanimous decision, mid to close unanimous decision, but I expect potentially a good fight. And yeah, those are my thoughts.